why it would suck to wake up as an Emperor's Children Space Marine. Before we get started, smash that subscribe button and give this video a like if you love exploring the darkest, wildest corners of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Drop us a comment below to tell us what's currently on your hobby desk, what armies you're working on, and what Grimdark factions you'd like to hear us dive into next. Your feedback keeps this channel alive, just like the sweet pulsing beat of a sonic blaster keeps the Emperor's Children motivated to keep on killing. Now, imagine waking up. You stretch, expecting to feel the weight of blankets over your body, the softness of sheets beneath your skin. Maybe you're hoping to smell morning air, hear the distant sounds of birds or the hum of a hive city. Instead, the first thing you hear is an ear-splitting shriek of music that's part orchestral masterpiece, part agonized screaming. Every note vibrates through your bones, scraping across the inside of your skull. Your eyes snap open, not to the gentle glow of daylight, but to a strobing, shifting rainbow of lights that cut through swirling clouds of scented incense and narcotic smoke. You look down, and your body is huge, sculpted like a demigod, clad in ornate power armor painted in shades of deep violet and gold, with screaming faces worked into the metal filigree. You feel a grin stretch across your lips, even as your mind reels in horror, because the sensation of your facial muscles moving is a thing of exquisite delight. Congratulations. You are an Emperor's Children Space Marine, and it absolutely sucks. But before we dive into why your new existence is a waking nightmare wrapped in silken sonic feedback, let's rewind the clock. Because the story of the Emperor's Children didn't start in excess and decadence. Once, they were the embodiment of everything noble and perfect about the Emperor's grand design, and their fall from grace might be one of the saddest and most horrifying tales in the entire Warhammer 40,000 universe. To understand why waking up as an Emperor's Children Marine is pure cosmic punishment, you first need to know where they came from. Let's start at the very beginning, the Great Crusade. In the time before chaos claimed half the galaxy, the Emperor of mankind walked among humanity, forging the Imperium with fire, sword, and shining ideals. Among his tools were the Space Marine legions, 20 titanic forces, each bred for war, each led by a Primarch, the Third. Legion was one of these creations, known as the Emperor's Children. Even their name was a mark of high favor. They were the only legion allowed to bear the Emperor's personal eagle as their symbol, a three-headed aquila cast in brilliant gold. From the start, the Emperor's Children embodied the pursuit of perfection. They were precise, elegant, and deadly on the battlefield. No sloppy lines of advance, no brutish charges. Every engagement was an art form, every maneuver a display of discipline and grace. Other legions fought with raw fury or calculated ruthlessness. The Emperor's Children fought with style. But their beginning wasn't easy. The Three. Legions suffered catastrophic genetic failures early on. Their gene seed was unstable, leading to massive casualties among newly implanted recruits. For a time, it looked as though the Emperor's Children might be doomed to extinction. And then came Fulgrim. Discovered on the toxic world of Chemos, Fulgrim was a Primarch who was, in every sense, a living masterpiece. Even by the standards of his gene father's superhuman sons, Fulgrim was beautiful, charismatic, and brilliant. His features were perfect, his movements fluid and graceful. But it wasn't just about physical beauty. Fulgrim possessed an unrelenting drive to achieve excellence in all things. Whether it was the crafting of a blade, the forging of an empire, or the subtle dance of politics, Fulgrim would settle for nothing less than perfection. When Fulgrim took command of the Third Legion, he breathed new life into them. He purged their genetic flaws, oversaw rigorous training, and molded his sons into warriors who mirrored his vision. Under his guidance, the Emperor's Children rose to prominence, earning renown across the stars. Other legions might sneer at their elegance, but none could deny their effectiveness. Their battle record gleamed like polished gold. Fulgrim taught his sons to see war as a canvas, Every maneuver was a brushstroke, every slain enemy a note in a greater symphony. The Emperor's children didn't simply fight battles, they performed them. Their armor was polished to mirror shine, their formations marched in perfect synchrony, and their victories were as much displays of artistry as they were feats of conquest. Yet even in these early days, seeds of corruption were sown. Fulgrim's obsession with perfection wasn't merely ambition, it was a gnawing hunger, a chasm of insecurity that could never be filled. Every flaw, every imperfection was an offense to his very being, and that drive, once noble, would become his undoing. During the Great Crusade, the Emperor's children fought alongside the Lunar Wolves, the Imperial Fists, the Iron Hands, and countless others. But it was during the cleansing of the lair that things began to slip. On a world infested with serpentine Xenos, known for decadent artistry and forbidden technology, Fulgrim recovered an artifact, a beautiful silver sword, filigreed with swirling patterns, humming with unseen power. The blade whispered to him, promising greater perfection. It seemed the perfect weapon for a Primarch whose life was devoted to artistry. It was, of course, a trap. The sword was possessed by a daemon of Slaanesh, the chaos god of excess, pleasure, and sensation. And though Fulgrim's will was titanic, even he could not fully resist its seduction. The whispers grew louder. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, Fulgrim's standards became impossible to satisfy. His rage at imperfection turned to cruelty. Battles became performances not for victory, but for spectacle. His legion began indulging in excesses, sensory stimulants, exquisite tortures. Strange music that vibrated in frequencies beyond human hearing. The Emperor's children slipped deeper into Slaanesh's clutches, and Fulgrim, believing he was still in control, led them into darkness. When the Horus heresy erupted, Fulgrim stood at Horus's side. He was among the first Primarchs to turn traitor, bringing with him an entire legion that had once been the Emperor's pride. The Emperor's children, intoxicated by the promises of Slaanesh, cast aside loyalty and humanity in pursuit of ultimate sensation. The fall of Istvan Vith was their true point of no return. On that blackened world, they participated in the massacre of their brother legions, drenching themselves in blood and screaming ecstasy. From that point on, any trace of who they once were began to vanish under a tide of excess. One of the most infamous transformations came with the birth of the cacophony. The Emperor's children were no longer satisfied with the roar of bolters or the clash of blades. They wanted war to be music. They forged sonic weapons that projected frequencies capable of melting flesh, shattering bone, and rupturing organs. The first time these weapons were unleashed, the noise didn't just kill it, scarred the souls of everyone who heard it. And for the Emperor's children, the screams were beautiful. The Three. Legion became a grotesque shadow of its former self. They were artists turned butchers, aesthetes turned addicts. Their war cries were symphonies of shrieks, their victories orgies of slaughter and sensuality. What had begun as a pursuit of perfection ended as slavery to chaos. Fulgrim himself fell so far that he allowed the daemon within his sword to possess him fully. For a time, Fulgrim's body was a prison for that creature, until eventually daemon and Primarch became one. Fulgrim ascended as a daemon prince of Slaanesh, his perfect form twisted into something both terrible and divine. His beauty remained, but it was the beauty of a lethal predator, dazzling and horrifying all at once. Even among the traitor legions, the Emperor's children are unique. The Word-bearers worship chaos as faith. The World-eaters drown themselves in violence. But the Emperor's children worship sensation itself. Pain and pleasure, joy and agony. They are one and the same to these warriors. They exist only to seek the next high, the next perfect note, the next exquisite kill. And that, dear viewer, is where your nightmare begins. Because if you wake up as an Emperor's Children Space Marine, you're not simply a warrior of chaos. You're an addict, bound to a cosmic predator that will never let you rest. But that's only the start of why it would suck to wake up as one of Fulgrim's chosen. So let's talk about what it actually feels like to exist inside the body of an Emperor's Children Space Marine. Because if you've ever thought, hey, being a genetically engineered super soldier sounds pretty great, I'm here to tell you that the price you pay for perfection is monstrous. At first glance, the Space Marine physique is a marvel. You stand nearly 8 feet tall, sculpted like a demigod, with bone and muscle layered thicker and denser than any mortal man. Your bones are reinforced with ceramite. Your skin is laced with cables and chemical channels, and your organs, well, you have more organs than a standard-issue human, let's put it that way. Your secondary heart pumps redundant lifeblood. Your multi-lung lets you breathe in toxic atmospheres. Your lineman's ear makes you immune to dizziness. But for the Emperor's children, this biological perfection was never enough. They craved more. In their pursuit of ever greater sensation, the Emperor's children subjected themselves to a level of modification that would make even other Chaos Space Marines shudder. For starters, their nerve endings have been rewired and enhanced to carry exponentially more sensory data, sounds sharper than a diamond drill. Colors so vivid they practically stab you in the optic nerves. The brush of silk across your skin becomes a thunderclap of sensation. That might sound thrilling for about 30 seconds. Then it becomes unbearable. Imagine being unable to touch anything without feeling overwhelmed by sensory overload. The pain of an enemy blade cutting into your armor becomes excruciating and glorious at the same time, twisting agony into a perverse form of euphoria. Every taste, every smell, every flicker of light becomes a potential drug. And that's just the biological side. The Emperor's children have embraced technology that fuses seamlessly with their bodies, especially when it comes to sound. They have become living instruments of war. Sonic enhancements are surgically embedded into their chests, throats, and skulls. Subdermal amplifiers vibrate beneath their skin, ready to transform their screams into lethal shockwaves. The Noise Marines are the ultimate expression of this transformation. Once proud warriors of the Emperor's children, they are now addicts to sound itself. They wield sonic blasters, doom sirens, and blastmasters, strange baroque weapons that emit frequencies capable of liquefying flesh, rupturing organs, and shattering rock. To a Noise Marine, the battlefield is a stage. Each pull of the trigger is a chord in a cosmic symphony. They don't just kill, they perform. The louder the screams, the more beautiful the art. And in the warped minds of the Emperor's children, there is no distinction between pleasure and pain. But there's a darker twist to this existence. The Emperor's children's enhanced senses quickly become desensitized. Over time, even the most extreme stimuli lose their impact. The scent of burning flesh becomes mundane. The rush of killing 1,000 enemies becomes routine. And so they spiral further, seeking ever more grotesque ways to push the limits. Some mutilate themselves mid-battle, carving intricate patterns into their flesh just to feel something new. Others experiment with chemical cocktails that make agony feel like ecstasy. Many submit themselves to the dark mechanicum for new implants designed to funnel even more sensation into their jaded minds. Imagine living in a body that constantly demands higher doses of stimulation. It's not freedom, it's slavery to an appetite that can never be sated. Even the Emperor's children's armor reflects this madness. Gone are the simple lines of the original purple and gold. Their power armor is a riot of color, glittering pinks, searing purples, gleaming gold. Sculpted faces scream from the breastplates, spikes and scrollwork spiral across the cauldrons. Some warriors have armor pieces that pulse like living flesh, shifting hues in time with the music. Each suit is a unique masterpiece, personalized to the wearer's tastes. But it's also a prison. Every component hums with built-in sonic systems, stimulants, and chemical injectors ready to flood the Marine's body with pleasure or searing pain at a moment's notice. And should your body fail, should the sensory overload finally crack your mind, there's no peace waiting for you. Slaanesh doesn't let go of toys easily. Many Emperor's children who fall completely into madness become possessed by daemons, transformed into shrieking spawn whose bodies twist into horrific new shapes, instruments of living torture for all who behold them. So if you wake up as an Emperor's Children Marine, be prepared. Your body might be perfect, but it's a perfect hell, where every nerve ending is a screaming, demanding conduit for chaos. And if that weren't bad enough, wait until you meet your brothers. Let's talk about society and hierarchy among the Emperor's children. Shore, Borster, Nests. Their society is a swirling maelstrom of art, violence, politics, and pure unrestrained excess. At the top of this madness sits Fulgrim himself, now a daemon prince of Slaanesh. Imagine the most beautiful creature you can conceive. An angel sculpted in marble and silk, but with eyes that shine with cruel amusement and a smile that promises delights you'd rather not experience. Fulgrim is simultaneously inspiring and terrifying. He is obsessed with artistic perfection, but his idea of art includes mass murder orchestrated like an opera. Beneath Fulgrim are the lords of the Emperor's children. These are the champions and warlords who have survived countless centuries of war, intrigue, and debauchery. Each is a powerful warrior and a connoisseur of some form of excess. Some pursue perfection in swordsmanship, others are virtuoso musicians crafting symphonies from the screams of the dying. Still others are sculptors who work in flesh and bone. Among these lords, status is everything, but it's never secure. One day, you might be a celebrated prince of the Legion, your deeds immortalized in song. The next, you could be flayed alive for failing to hit the perfect note in a battle symphony. Then there are the Noise Marines, the stars of the Emperor's children. They're not just soldiers, they're artists whose medium is sound. Each Noise Marine is an individual performer, wielding sonic weaponry that doubles as instruments of art. Their armor often sports speaker arrays, tuning coils, and decorative microphones shaped like fanged maws. Their performances on the battlefield are legendary. Picture a Noise Marine standing atop a pile of corpses, shredding a solo on his sonic blaster, the sound waves slicing through enemies like blades. His eyes roll back in ecstasy as the world explodes in color and noise around him. To him, the battle is not a task, it's a concert, and he's the lead guitarist. Yet even among the Noise Marines, hierarchy exists. The most skilled performers command respect and resources. They attract followers who worship their every note. Others become forgotten, their performances deemed dull by Legion standards, cast aside like broken instruments. Within the ranks, rivalries burn hot. The Emperor's children are united under Fulgrim, but they're also consumed by jealousy and pride. A single slight comment about one's vocal timbre or blade technique can erupt into duels to the death or to the agony, whichever is more artistically satisfying. Cliques form around shared obsessions. One group might be obsessed with crafting the perfect sculpture from bone. Another might spend decades perfecting a new arrangement of sonic frequencies capable of causing cardiac arrest in 97% of Imperial biology. Alliances shift constantly. Today's partner in creative excess might be tomorrow's rival in a contest of torture artistry. The idea of loyalty has become warped. The Emperor's children are loyal not to each other, but to their own personal quests for sensation and perfection. Betrayal is as much a part of their culture as music and color. And then there are the lower ranks, the countless Chaos Space Marines who serve as the Legion's core troops. Many are warriors who've not yet been elevated to Noise Marine status. They're still monstrous by human standards, but they lack the flamboyant flair of their noise-wielding brothers. These Marines are the audience to the Noise Marines' performances. They march to war under the rhythm of sonic barrages, their senses battered into numbness by the chaos around them. On the massive warships of the Emperor's children, life is a constant barrage of stimuli. Corridors throb with pulsating lights, music spills from every speaker grill, and the walls themselves might ripple with hidden servos designed to enhance the acoustics. Screaming cultists scuttle about, carrying trays of exotic stimulants. Servitors shuffle through the halls, bodies reshaped into living sculptures of gold and purple. Even in supposed rest periods, the Emperor's children don't rest. They hold performances, duels, and ceremonies of shocking excess. A captain might host a private concert featuring enslaved Eldar soul singers. Another might orchestrate an art exhibition where the canvases are still living victims, painted in chemicals that burn and heal in dazzling cycles of agony and ecstasy. To the Emperor's children, everything is art, and art must be perfect no matter how many lives it costs or how much blood must be spilled. So if you wake up as an Emperor's Children Space Marine, you're not just a super soldier. You're a performer, trapped in a cutthroat society where the price of imperfection is agony and where your brothers might cheer you on one moment and stab you in the back the next. All in the name of the perfect performance. Let's talk about war. Because for the Emperor's children, war is never just war. It's a stage, a performance, and sometimes even a religious rite. If you wake up as one of Fulgrim's chosen, you're not simply handed a bolter and told, "Go kill those guys." Oh no. You become part of a symphony of destruction, wielding weapons so bizarre and terrifying that even other Chaos Marines give you a wide berth. Let's start with the crown jewels of Emperor's Children warfare, sonic weapons. These are not simple guns, these are instruments. The Emperor's Children were the first to perfect the art of turning sound into a weapon. Long ago, back when they still called themselves Loyalists, they experimented with sonic disruptors for siege work. But under Slaanesh's influence, those experiments became obsessions. Now, Noise Marines carry a dazzling array of sonic weaponry, each piece custom-tailored to deliver both death and an exquisite sensory experience. Take the Sonic Blaster. It looks like an ornate guitar fused with a sci-fi machine gun. Instead of firing solid slugs, it unleashes focused bursts of sound so intense that they vibrate armor apart, liquefy organs, and turn brains to pudding. The reports of the Sonic Blaster don't just deafen, they mesmerize. Each note is perfectly pitched to cause maximum psychological and physical trauma. Imagine pulling the trigger and hearing a note so pure it splits the skull of a nearby guardsman like an overripe fruit. The Noise Marine feels the resonance thrumming through his armor, each kill a new chord in his endless solo. Then there's the Doom Siren. It's a weapon often mounted into the chestplate or helmet of a Noise Marine, allowing him to literally scream his enemies to death. The Doom Siren projects a cone of ultrasonic sound waves capable of vaporizing flesh and igniting bone marrow. To the Noise Marine, the feedback is delicious. A rolling wave of sonic ecstasy that slams into him as it tears apart those in his path. One of the most devastating weapons is the Blastmaster. Think of it as a sonic cannon the size of a heavy bolter. It can fire precision high-pitched beams that pierce through walls, or drop into low-frequency shockwaves that shake armored vehicles apart from the inside. To the Noise Marine, the shifting frequencies are like shifting musical keys, always searching for the perfect chord of destruction. But the Emperor's children don't stop at sonic weaponry. Their entire war gear has been transformed into art pieces. Chainswords are crafted not merely for function, but for beauty. Their teeth gleam gold and purple, and their motors purr with a silken hum. Power swords crackle with delicate filigree patterns along the blade, each arc of energy tuned to produce different frequencies of light and sound. Even bolt pistols are customized, inlaid with gemstones or shaped like Baroque sculptures. Their armor is equally flamboyant. Gone are the standardized marks of Astartes' power armor. Instead, each suit is a unique masterpiece. Armor surfaces ripple with shifting hues, deep violets, blazing pinks, shimmering metallics. Some suits pulse to the rhythm of internal sonic generators, glowing and dimming in sync with the Marine's heartbeat. Many incorporate flowing ribbons, sculpted spikes, and mask-like visors with expressions frozen in agony or ecstasy. It's worth noting that these flamboyant designs are not merely aesthetic. Many armor systems are built with hidden stimulants, amplifiers, and sensory enhancers. A Noise Marine's chestplate might contain a speaker array that blares offensive frequencies. Shoulder pauldrons might hold canisters of scented chemical agents designed to intoxicate enemies or the Marine himself. Even the Emperor's children's vehicles are works of art. Their rhinos and predators are bedecked with gold trim, studded with gemstones, and painted in clashing yet harmonious colors. War banners flutter from their chassis, often made of flayed skin dyed in psychedelic shades. Inside, control panels might be plated in mother-of-pearl, buttons crafted like tiny gems. Each vehicle is an extension of its owner's artistic vision and an instrument of death. Let's not forget the terrifying sonic dreadnoughts. Imagine a towering metal sarcophagus housing the remains of a once great warrior. In most chapters, that's a somber duty. For the Emperor's children, it's a chance to create a walking amplifier. Sonic dreadnoughts are fitted with enormous speakers, arrays of tuning forks, and weaponry that can collapse buildings with bass frequencies alone. The warrior inside is often driven mad, lost in a personal symphony that no one else can hear. It's crucial to remember that for the Emperor's children, war is not fought to win, it's fought to feel. Each battle is an opportunity to craft a new masterpiece of violence. Casualties are irrelevant. Damage to their own forces is simply part of the performance. Entire worlds have been consumed in multi-day performances where Noise Marines turn their slaughter into grand operas, each note marked by death. And so if you wake up as an Emperor's Children's Space Marine, you'll find yourself armed not just for battle, but for art. Your weapons will be instruments, your armor will be your costume. And every kill will be another note in a galaxy-spanning symphony of pain and pleasure. But what drives all this madness? Let's talk about the twisted religion and philosophy at the heart of the Emperor's children, but in their very beliefs. Because the true core of why it would suck to wake up as one of these guys lies not just in their weapons or their mutated senses, but in their very beliefs. The Emperor's children worship Slaanesh, the chaos god of excess, perfection, and sensation. To them, Slaanesh is the ultimate muse, the embodiment of beauty, artistry, and pleasure. But Slaanesh is also the god of addiction, obsession, and self-destruction, and therein lies the trap. The Emperor's children believe that through the pursuit of perfection, they will ascend to a higher state of existence. Every brushstroke, every chord, every kill brings them closer to cosmic harmony. But Slaanesh's perfection is a moving target. It's never enough. The standard always shifts higher, driving the Emperor's children into ever more extreme acts. Imagine living your life convinced that somewhere, just beyond your reach, lies the perfect note, the perfect blade stroke, the perfect kill. And if you could just achieve it, you'd know true fulfillment. Except you never will. Because the second you grasp it, Slaanesh whispers of something greater. This pursuit becomes an addiction. The Emperor's children are junkies for sensation. Pain and pleasure, agony and ecstasy, it's all the same to them. Many believe that the ultimate perfection lies in experiencing every possible sensation, no matter how horrifying. They mutilate themselves in increasingly creative ways. They craft tortures that are artistic performances in their own right. Worse, they believe suffering is beautiful. The cries of their victims become part of their rituals. Blood is just another medium for art. On some warships, entire holds are converted into living symphonies, filled with captives whose screams are perfectly arranged in pitch and tempo. Fulgrim himself preaches this twisted gospel. To him, perfection demands sacrifice, especially the sacrifice of one's own humanity. He claims that only by surrendering to Slaanesh can true beauty be achieved. It's a seductive doctrine, especially for beings already conditioned to strive for excellence. But the cost is horrific. The Emperor's children don't merely risk their bodies, they risk their very souls. Many who follow Slaanesh become possessed by daemons. Others devolve into chaos spawn, twisted lumps of screaming flesh that once were proud warriors. Their quest for perfection becomes a fast track to monstrous oblivion. And yet, the Emperor's children persist, because Slaanesh rewards them with moments of transcendent beauty. There are stories of noise marines achieving brief flashes of ecstasy so pure they weep tears of silver, or moments when Fulgrim's presence bathes an entire warband in waves of euphoric bliss so intense that it blinds them to the universe. But those moments never last. For every high, there is a crashing low. The Emperor's children suffer crushing waves of ennui. Their heightened senses burn out, leaving them numb and desperate for the next hit of sensation. Entire warbands fall into despair, clawing at their own flesh because the universe has become grey and silent. In this way, Slaanesh keeps them trapped in an eternal cycle. He gives them moments of impossible beauty, then tears it away, leaving them starving for more. If you wake up as an Emperor's Children Space Marine, you're not just a warrior. You're a disciple of a god who demands everything from you, your body, your mind, your soul, and who gives you just enough ecstasy to keep you coming back for more. And worst of all, you'll think it's all worth it. Let's talk about enemies, because if you wake up as an Emperor's Children Space Marine, you'll quickly learn a hard truth: everyone wants you dead. The galaxy is full of hate, but few inspire as much pure loathing as the Emperor's children. Even among chaos, they're regarded as a special kind of monstrous. First, there's the Imperium of Man. To the Imperium, the Emperor's children are an abomination twice over. Not only are they traitors who spat on the Emperor's vision, but they embody everything the Imperium fears most: excess, pleasure, and artistic expression twisted into tools of slaughter. Imagine an ecclesiarch watching an Emperor's children warband turn a city into an open-air opera of torture and sonic weaponry. It's not just heresy, it's a cosmic obscenity. The Imperium fights the Emperor's children with utter ruthlessness. The Inquisition hunts them mercilessly, deploying kill teams, orbital bombardments, exterminatus, anything to stop them from spreading their corruption. Space Marines in Loyalist chapters often take a special interest in hunting the three, Legion's fallen sons. Not only because of their treachery, but because the Emperor's children are a dark mirror of what a Space Marine could become if he lets ambition and pride slip into hubris and excess. To the Ultramarines, Imperial fists, and even the savage Space Wolves, the Emperor's children are a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the purest can fall. Then there's the Adepta Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle. For them, the Emperor's children are walking blasphemy. Slaanesh is their most hated enemy, the ultimate corrupter of flesh and soul. When the sisters fight the Emperor's children, it's more than war. It's a holy crusade of purgation by fire. But the threats don't just come from the Imperium, oh no. Chaos is not exactly a harmonious alliance, and few Chaos Legions are as universally despised as the Emperor's children. Take the World Eaters, Khorne's chosen to despise Slaanesh's followers. To the World Eaters, excess is weakness. All that flamboyant music and pretty armor? It's an insult to the simplicity of honest slaughter. They see the Emperor's children as arrogant peacocks, more interested in performing than killing. And the Emperor's children, in turn, sneer at the World Eaters as crude butchers with no appreciation for the artistry of death. Then there's the Iron Warriors. These grim siege masters hate the Emperor's children for a simple reason: noise. Imagine being a warlord who values precision and discipline, and suddenly your allies crank up a sonic barrage that shatters your carefully laid fortifications. The Emperor's children view siege warfare as boring. The Iron Warriors view noise marines as an artillery hazard. Even the Word-Bearers have issues with the three. Legion. The Word-Bearers worship chaos as religion, with rituals and sacred texts. The Emperor's children worship chaos as a never-ending rave. For the Word-Bearers, the Emperor's children are blasphemers who cheapen chaos into spectacle. And then there's the Emperor's children's own worst enemy, themselves. Their pursuit of excess inevitably leads to betrayal and murder. Today's brother-in-arms might be tomorrow's rival in a blood-soaked performance duel. An overlord who fails to impress his warband might be assassinated during his own victory concert. Fulgrim encourages this Darwinian chaos because it weeds out the uninspired. Even Slaanesh, their dark patron, is no safe haven. Slaanesh is the god of capricious indulgence. What he gives today, he might rick away tomorrow. A noise marine might find himself blessed with divine sensations one moment, only to have his senses deadened as punishment for some unknown slight. All this makes life as an Emperor's children marine deeply precarious. The galaxy hates you. Chaos rivals hate you. Your own brothers might hate you. And your god might hate you too, sometimes just for fun. So if you wake up as an Emperor's Children Marine, expect to be hunted by everyone, including yourself. And that's before you face the real threat lurking behind it all, boredom. Because I feared his stead, Ron Pond Arns. Let's be clear, Slaanesh feeds them peaks of ecstasy so overwhelming that they'd make any mortal's brain melt. But the human or transhuman brain can only process so much novelty. Eventually, even the most intense experiences lose their edge. Imagine hearing music so perfect it brings you to tears. The first time, it's transcendent. The second time, it's thrilling. The 10th time, it's nice but familiar. By the 100th time, you're yawning. The Emperor's children live this cycle every day. A noise marine might develop a new sonic frequency that kills people by inducing simultaneous cardiac arrest and orgasm. He uses it in battle. The screams are delicious. The blood sprays like a painter's brush, but by the next battle, it's just another riff, time to find a new frequency. Or think of an artist among the Emperor's children who carves living sculptures out of captives. At first, the shapes are innovative. Each victim produces unique sounds and reactions. But eventually, even that becomes routine. The artist grows frustrated. He starts combining species, xenos, and humans fused into new forms just for the novelty. And even that eventually loses its thrill. This leads to horrific escalation. The Emperor's children push boundaries not out of pure cruelty, though there's plenty of that, but because they're desperate to feel something new. Pain, pleasure, horror, it's all fuel for the same fire. But as their tolerance rises, they require more extreme stimuli. A noise marine who once wept at a single perfect note now needs entire planets reduced to sonic holocausts just to feel a spark. And when even that fails, they descend into despair. This is the Emperor's children's curse, the yawning abyss of boredom. When their heightened senses can no longer deliver novelty, they feel nothing, no joy, no purpose, just an endless grey emptiness. For beings designed to crave perfection and sensation, it's a hell more terrifying than any battlefield. Some fall into catatonia, simply standing in their baroque armor, unmoving, eyes dim. Others lash out, carving apart their own warbands in futile rage. Some beg Slaanesh for new gifts, even if it means sacrificing chunks of their own flesh, memory, or sanity. And sometimes, Slaanesh answers, a noise marine might receive new ears capable of hearing sounds outside the normal universe. But that gift might also come with new torments, a permanent psychic chorus of screaming daemons whispering secrets he can never unhear. Even Fulgrim himself is not immune. The Primarch wanders the galaxy in search of the next perfect sensation, but rumor says there are moments when even Fulgrim pauses and whispers that he feels nothing. For a Daemon Prince of Slaanesh, that's the worst blasphemy of all. So if you wake up as an Emperor's Children Space Marine, brace yourself. Because you'll never find peace, you'll never be satisfied. Your entire existence will become an endless chase for the next high, the next perfect moment. And when that moment fades, as it always does, you'll be left staring into the abyss of boredom, desperate for something, anything, to make you feel alive again. And that, more than the screaming weapons or the flamboyant armor, is the true horror of being one of the Emperor's children. Let's shine a spotlight on the stars of this chaotic opera, the famous figures of the Emperor's children. Because if you wake up as one of these guys, well, congratulations, you're not just a monster. You're a legendary monster. First and foremost, there's Fulgrim, the Phoenician himself. Once he was among the Emperor's most brilliant sons, a sculptor, a warrior, a visionary. Fulgrim wasn't just physically perfect. His mind was a razor, capable of mastering everything from tactics to philosophy to art. But perfection is a razor's edge. And Fulgrim fell headlong into the abyss. It started with the Layer Blade, the silver sword he claimed as a trophy during the Great Crusade. Beautiful, flawless, and possessed by a daemon of Slaanesh. Fulgrim resisted at first, but eventually the whispers took root. His obsession with perfection curdled into arrogance. He demanded impossible standards, and when his sons couldn't meet them, he turned to cruelty. During the Horus Heresy, Fulgrim turned traitor, siding with Horus. He butchered loyalist brothers, slaughtered worlds, and indulged in ever greater extremes of pleasure and pain. And then he did the unthinkable. He murdered Ferrus Manus, his closest brother and rival, during the Dropsite massacre on Istvan Vith. The memory of Ferrus's severed head haunts Fulgrim even in his daemonhood. Eventually, Fulgrim surrendered completely. He and the daemon within the Layer Blade merged into one being. He ascended as a daemon prince of Slaanesh, a towering serpentine figure of impossible beauty and unspeakable horror. His skin glows like polished ivory, his eyes shimmer with cruel mirth, and his voice can charm entire worlds into oblivion. Fulgrim's presence on the battlefield turns combat into performance art. His gestures are graceful, his blade strokes paint crimson arcs through the air. He's a monster, but also captivating, hypnotic. He represents everything that makes the Emperor's children both terrifying and tragically beautiful. And tragically beautiful. Few characters in 40k are as deliciously twisted as Lucius. Once a master swordsman and champion of the Emperor's children, Lucius was obsessed with perfection in close combat. He believed no one could best him. And for a time, he was right. Lucius was unstoppable, a whirlwind of elegant violence, but arrogance breeds downfall. During the Siege of Terra, Lucius was eventually defeated and slain. Here's where the horror begins. Slaanesh was so amused by Lucius's obsession and vanity that he refused to let him stay dead. Instead, Slaanesh gifted Lucius with a curse or a reward, depending on how you look at it. Now, if someone kills Lucius and feels even a shred of satisfaction or pride in the victory, they begin to change. Their body warps, their features shift. Flesh twists, armor buckles, until they become Lucius himself. His mind and soul consume theirs, leaving Lucius alive once more, and his killer effectively erased from existence. This makes fighting Lucius a nightmarish gamble. You can kill him, but if you dare to feel proud of your victory, he'll crawl right out of your own skin. He's been slain countless times, only to reappear in a new body, and every time, he's just a little more unhinged. Lucius is a living paradox. He's arrogant, flamboyant, and utterly terrifying. He's one of Slaanesh's favorite toys, and to the Emperor's children, he's both hero and cautionary tale. Oi, cautionary tale. The galaxy's most infamous mad scientist. Once the chief apothecary of the Emperor's children, Fabius was fascinated by the potential of gene manipulation. During the heresy, Bile experimented wildly, seeking ways to enhance Space Marines beyond their natural limits. After the fall of the Emperor's children, he split from Fulgrim's direct command, driven by his own ambition. Now, Fabius roams the galaxy, performing horrific experiments on gene seed, Xenos DNA, and even Chaos daemons. He creates monstrous clones, twisted super soldiers, and grotesque bio artworks. Many of the Emperor's children still rely on him for their surgical enhancements and horrific modifications. Yet Fabius views his former legion with thinly veiled contempt. He sees the Emperor's children as addicts lost in decadence, wasting their potential. To Fabius, perfection lies in scientific mastery, not sensory excess. Still, Despite his scorn, Fabius Bile remains tied to the Emperor's children, whether as supplier, manipulator, or reluctant ally. Alibaka or reluctant ally. Alibaka or, lastly, we have Eidolon. Before the heresy, Eidolon was one of Fulgrim's favoured sons, a warrior of immense skill and discipline. But pride was his downfall. Even as a loyalist, he was notorious for seeking glory and for pushing his body beyond safe limits through dangerous sonic implants. After the heresy, Eidolon became one of the most prominent noise marines. His body is riddled with sonic amplifiers, his voice capable of rupturing organs at a whisper. He's a living weapon and a ruthless narcissist. Unlike some of his brothers, Eidolon is not content to simply pursue personal excess. He wants power. He constantly jockeys for status within the Legion, seeking to become Fulgrim's right hand or to replace him entirely. Eidolon represents a different flavor of the Emperor's children's corruption, the hunger for command and prestige, wrapped in the aesthetic of Slanesh. 4. Advising Swingle's Arct and Dietz, part. Jest large, and to swing the Thraben of the firms. Imperial's children, be careful what you wish for. You might be legendary, but your legend comes with a price, eternal obsession, monstrous transformation, and the certainty that your name will be whispered in terror for 10,000 years. The Hound, but a spind of the stories of years of a hound beasts. Because here's the thing, they don't just fight, they live somewhere. And that somewhere is a place you definitely wouldn't want to visit. Imagine waking up aboard an Emperor's Children warship. At first glance, it's stunning. Gilded corridors, floors of polished obsidian, walls inlaid with swirling violet and gold patterns. But look closer and the horror sets in. Those intricate wall panels? They're alive. Some are sculpted from flesh, some ripple as music flows through hidden vibroplates. Sometimes they sigh, sometimes they scream. Light pulses in shifting neon hues. It's never the same color for more than a few seconds. Incense burners belch out complex aromas, each designed to trigger a unique emotional response. Desire, fear, nostalgia. The scents mix, forming an intoxicating cocktail that leaves your head spinning. Noise is constant. Not just music, but layers upon layers of sound. A gentle violin solo might drift through one corridor, only to crash into a rising tide of percussive beats. Somewhere else, the choir sings in perfect harmony. Their voices might belong to slaves kept alive in hidden chambers, singing until their throats tear. Servitors roam the halls, shaped into works of art. One might be formed into the shape of a golden harp, strummed by cybernetic fingers as it shuffles forward on spider legs. Another might be a humanoid torso melded into a pillar, weeping softly as data scrolls across its flayed skin. Cultists scurry around wearing silks dyed in colors that shift under different lights. They carry trays of exotic drugs, pigments, or tiny instruments. Some cultists serve as living canvases, their skin painted and repainted daily. For the Noise Marines and other legionaries, life is an endless series of performances. When not at war, they rehearse, they experiment with new sounds. They hold contests over who can produce the most exquisite scream from a prisoner. They sculpt, they paint, they duel in ritualized combat, sometimes to first blood, sometimes to the death. Even meals are grotesque spectacles. Food is not nourishment, it's an art form. Dishes are served in impossible colors, textures, and temperatures, designed to push the boundaries of taste. Poison is a common ingredient just to see who survives. Sleep barely exists. Most Emperor's children rely on stims and chemical cocktails to stay awake for days, driven by the fear that they might miss the next great experience. Those who do sleep often do so in chambers tuned to play subtle sonic frequencies, designed to trigger erotic or violent dreams. For the average warrior, this life is both heaven and hell. Every day offers new wonders, and every day the thrill fades a little faster, and so they descend further. If you wake up as an Emperor's Children Space Marine, your life won't just be about killing. It will be an endless, exhausting performance. And when the music stops, the silence will be unbearable. So here we are, at the end of our journey through the purple and gold halls of madness. If there's one lesson you should take away, it's this. Waking up as an Emperor's Children Space Marine would be one of the worst fates imaginable in the entire galaxy. Sure, you'd have the body of a demigod, strength beyond mortal limits, reflexes that would shame an elite assassin, weapons that don't just kill but craft entire symphonies of agony. You'd be part of one of the most infamous legions in all of Warhammer 40,000 lore. But peel back the gold filigree and you'll see the truth. Your nerves would be raw pathways of screaming sensation, demanding ever greater extremes to feel even the slightest thrill. Your brothers would be rivals, artists, and potential murderers, all driven by a hunger for perfection that can never, ever be satisfied. Your existence would be a performance, a show that never stops, no matter how tired or numb you become. You'd worship a god who dangles moments of transcendent beauty in front of you, then rips them away just as you reach for them. Your body might remain beautiful, your armor a masterpiece, but inside, you'd be hollowed out by the endless search for new highs. And even if you achieved your perfect moment, it would slip away in an instant, leaving you desperate for the next. So next time you're painting a noise marine in blazing pink and gold, or blasting your favorite metal album as you roll dice for your Emperor's Children army, spare a moment of pity for those warriors. Because beneath the glamour, they're prisoners of a god who will never let them go. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Emperor's Children and the horrors of Slaanesh's perfection, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future journeys into the dark corners of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Drop us a comment and let us know what's currently on your hobby desk, what factions you'd like to explore next, or which parts of the lore keep you up at night. Your ideas and feedback help shape this channel. Until next time, remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, perfection is just another word for damnation.